I have got a PhD in life. I'm spending my whole weekend in my pajamas, and I'm not doing shit. You don't pay my bills or suck my dick, so like, what do I care what some random person on the internet thinks of me? And new year, new me, you gotta have some fun. God, Tim, everything you touch just like is amazing. And I want to tell that person, no the fuck it's not. I'm only trying to make one fucking person happy, and that's Tim Castleman. All right, let me test 1, 2. There we go. Hey, look at that. All right, well, we decided we had so much fun on the last one. We're like, you know what? We're recharged. Our batteries are fully recharged. Oh, you know what, Sue?
Yes.
We should get the robes.
We should get the robes.
We should get the robes.
You're right.
We're going to pause this and be right back with
All
you
right.
folks. What up, everybody? Tim Castleman back here with another episode of Tim Talks. You know, we're still in London recording these for you guys. We felt so good. Not only were we recharged, we got the robes on.
We have the robes on.
Yeah, and you look amazing. It took 30 minutes for us to find the little loop so we could tie them up. And we both agree that whoever did these must be from Texas with all the fucking starchy these things.
So starchy.
At attention. Yeah, she's like, I don't think these are going to be as good a quality as the ones in Vegas. And I'm like, yeah.
Those were fancy.
They were.
As fuck.
Yeah,
Let's face it.
We should totally get a box. Like, I'm sure they were $7,000 each.
I'm sure.
Yeah, they had like crystals in them or something like that. I don't even think crystal is a crystal. You guys know what I'm saying. Did we get any sleep between last episode and this one? No. Do we expect it to be more competent? Hopefully so. But I actually think it might be a good time to talk about this because we're tired and emotional. You guys actually might get some crocodile tears on this one. I want to talk about my meltdown. And you know what? I don't even like calling it that because it's not my meltdown. I've recorded 2 episodes before this, kind of talking about what I was going through mentally. You know, I think I've been pretty open with you guys. I've struggled with depression. I probably have struggled with my depression and anger most of my life. I would say it was undiagnosed up until 2017. Ish, you know, basically I had to lose everything, and then I was like, yeah, maybe I will try these antidepressant pills, and it turns out that it worked, right? And where do we even begin with this? Let's kick this back. Okay, so I talk about my struggles and my mental health and being put on medication and how I've altered that medication with my doctor's full blessing and have had to increase it basically every 2 years, which is fucking annoying. So I'm on my second increase. My first one went from like 75 milligrams to 150, which is the adult dose. Now I'm up to 225. Plus another one that just knocks me out. I don't even take it because it makes me so sleepy. It's something that once I get off this international trip, I'll do this. And I'll add it and see if that helps and stuff like that. Okay. So now that you know that, blank your memory for just a second. Let's go all the way back, okay? 2000... I'm going to say 2009. Yeah, I think that's when it was. It was October 2009. I walk into my office, and my manager wants to speak to me. And basically, short story long, it was one of those, like, you should quit before we fire you type things. And I didn't do anything improperly. There was no, like I didn't steal money or any bullshit like that. Yeah, I just was a terrible employee because I hated that job and I wanted to quit that job and I wanted to become my own boss, which I did in the months following. I would say probably 2 months after that, I became my own man and working for myself. I had some part-time gigs during the summer, but pretty much I was my own boss. And within a year or two, I had replaced my income from the day job, and then probably immediately following that, I went to 6 figures a year, and then multiple 6 figures a year after that, and, maintained steady, if not steady increase. And things, in my mind, without really looking around and seeing what was really going on, in my mind, everything was fucking going roses, right? Yeah, sure, me and my ex-wife had problems, and we differed about this and X and Y and Z, but business-wise, everything's going great. I mean, I'm fucking awesome. Just listen to me tell you how awesome I am, right? And my shit don't stink. I can't do anything wrong. And I start making all of this money, and along with that money came an ego. And, you know, I think I'm probably the highest earner in my family that I know of. There may be somebody that isn't or that is higher than me, but I don't know of them. You know, and I mean, everything was just going well. I paid off a house. You know, I saved up money. We bought a new house. Everything was going fucking fantastic. And then 2017, January 12th, I walk into an empty house in a Dear John letter, which I've covered ad nauseum, previous podcast to this, and, you know, way back in the Two Drink Tim days. So you guys can listen to all of that in its glory. I don't want to rehash that. That was a tremendous fucking blow to my ego. I went from having all of these issues that I didn't know about, right? But being full of energy and full of life to being depressed as fuck and all of that, right? 2018, I meet an amazing woman who is just phenomenal. She supports me through a failed Me Too movement by my old employees and my ex-wife. And all those trials and tribulations. 2019, I decide that that's not going to work. Oh, by the way, 2018, all my employees fucking left me. Gone. See ya. Thank you very much. 2019, I decided to end things with the girlfriend. She celebrates by finding the love of her life and getting married in record amount of time. I celebrate it by being depressed all of 2020. Then I go on a trip to Spain, of all places, to go to Simon's event. And that's when all the lawsuit shit hits me, where I find out that my money's been locked up and that my properties are going to be sold at auction. We fight that from 2020 to 2021. 2021, I get an email from my lawyer saying, sucks to be you. We've lost everything. Here's a bill for my services. Go fuck yourself. So I went from feeling like I was the Teflon Don, where my shit didn't stink and I was floating above the crowd and everything was phenomenal. And I had the ego and the swagger and the bravado to match it all. And externally, everything looks amazing to now, 2017, I spend most of it in bed. 2018 and 19, I spend it in a loving yet toxic relationship. And it just is like one ass kicking after the other. And anytime that I feel like I can step up or take a step up, life just seems to kick me in the fucking guts. And, my e-com store that I started, it's gone. Kindle, not doing that anymore for various reasons. Anything that I've started has slowly kind of faded away. And I'm always out there looking for the next big thing or the next challenge or the next adventure, what have you. So we meet in January. This is me and Sue, and we kind of come up with a plan and all of that stuff. And then fast forward to last week, so it would have been March, I guess, beginning of March, beginning of April, or end of March, beginning of April. I have one friend. That's not true. I have a couple friends locally that have businesses, okay, that I can talk to. I've got a great network of people that I don't rely on. I don't call because I don't want to be a bother to them. I have no wife. I have no children. I have no relatives in terms of like brothers and sisters. I don't have anybody. Even my parents have left the state in which we used to live. So it's literally me in Lubbock, Texas, all by myself. All by myself. You get it. Don't wanna be. Anyway, so there's not a real big sounding board that I have except for this thing called social media. And I've been open and honest, and I just have always been one of those guys that when you talk about how good shit's going, that's awesome. I love it. I want to see a human highlight reel. But when you need to talk about the shitty times too, because I think people will realize that life's not all roses. So when my ex abandoned our marriage and I decided to take off to Paris to save my life, I did a Facebook Live where I broke down into tears. And I highly recommend that you don't do that, but I didn't have anybody else to talk to and tell. Not anywhere near as drastic, not anywhere near as depressing, but, I've been in therapy now, probably coming up on 10 years, close to 10 years. I've been medicated since 2017. I just can't seem to get it in fucking gear. I can't seem to find anything I'm excited and motivated about. And I'm at my wit's end because I've lost everything defending this lawsuit. I've lost my wife. I've lost my extended family. I lost my girlfriend. I lost her amazing family. All loss. It's like, unlike DJ Khaled, I'm catching L's at every fucking turn. And every time I pop my head out, it's like the mole, hits me with another L and knocks me down. And it's like, I don't know what else to do. In terms of, I'm on medication, I'm doing therapy, I feel like a totally different person. I feel a lot of growth personally, but professionally, I haven't emailed my list since I don't know when last year.
Probably funnel hacking was the last time.
Yeah, and that was
I think so.
September?
September? Yep.
Yeah. We've recorded 12, probably 15 episodes of this podcast. They've never seen it, I've got so many things that we've done. I just don't even want to email them. I'm just not interested. It's like, Sue was like, well, are you hoping to see people at this event? It's like, I am, but I'm also kind of taking this as a temperature thing of like, maybe I should just get the fuck out of this. So anyway, earlier this week, perfect timing. You're about to leave the country for a week. Why don't you break your heart down on Facebook? And it wasn't even meant to be like that. It was just like, hey, guys, I'm struggling. How I wanted to come across was, hey, guys, I'm struggling. Here's everything I've been through. I just can't seem to get it right. Who do I need to talk to?
I think it was worded perfectly. I don't think it was like you were complaining or.
I think a lot of people thought it was a lot more serious than it was because I tried to reassure them, like, guys, I'm therapy. Like, I'm okay. I don't have a gun to my head or
right.
a knife to my wrist. It's just like I can't get this fucking figured out.
Right. And that's how I took it, but probably because I know you, but
right.
I know what you're saying. Some people are like, whoa,
yeah,
don't jump off the cliff. But it wasn't meant to be like that at all.
It's a weird thing. Like, I struggle with sharing this. I struggle with sharing my struggle. I sound like a fucking woke person. I struggle with sharing my mental health stuff for two reasons. One, even I'm like, hey, man, get the fuck over it. It's 2017, it's 2022. We're in April. Like, come on, motherfucker. Let's get it together. And two, I've told my therapist this often. I may have been causing a huge wake. I may have been the worst husband. I may have been the worst friend, the worst son, all of those things prior to my wife leaving me. But everything externally was telling me that I was doing an amazing job. I was being asked to speak in more and more stages. I was making more money. Everything I touched, in my eyes, went to gold.
Right.
So it's a double-edged sword. It's like, you want me to be a better person, more understanding of all these things. And it's like, look at all of this, the before and after. So I post that. Now, I have a thing that I like to do. Whenever I post big topics or controversial things or people I want comments, I give it 24 hours because I want people to have the chance to respond without my input and to just kind of see what happens. So I did that, and then I pushed out for another 24 hours because I'm one of those people that like, hey, I need some help, but I feel terrible bothering or inconveniencing or putting anybody out. So I think I read the DMs first. A lot of DMs were like, straight sales pitches, which, hey, on one hand, I respect that. It's like, hey, you got to shoot your shot. But the other thing is like, yeah, get to know me a little bit before you're like, this is the perfect program for you, And then the other, not the other half, but another 25%, it's like I click on their profile and they're like, oh, we're here for alpha male. It's like, oh, no, we're good, man. I don't need to go run the fucking desert or get knocked out by some other dude, or pick up a log and pretend I'm a Navy SEAL or, break down in a room full of, roided up guys and fucking.
Wow. Did you get that many messages like that?
I mean, I would say there was probably 2 or 3 guys that not necessarily messages, but when you clicked on their profile, it was like alpha male strategy.
I get you. Yeah.
Need a breakthrough, and you're just like, okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna let that. I'm gonna go ahead and let you jack off to fucking GI Jane or Hercules or whatever it is. And then the messages that mean the most are your friends that reach out to you, and there's a lot of guilt around that too, because, a lot of these motherfuckers have reached out multiple times. And not only that, but I feel like I've asked for advice from a lot of them, and I don't know how to say this other than this. It's like, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to act on that advice when I asked it back then like I am now. I feel like I'm at a place where I've got closure with the lawsuit. I've got closure with my ex. My exes live in Texas. I just feel like a lot of things have fucking slammed shut for me, which is good because now I can focus on whatever the fuck the next chapter is. It's just the whole part of figuring out what that next chapter is for me. And, I think of a lot of things. I think of my friend Dave, telling me 2 years ago, man, we just want Happy Tim back. And me thinking, yeah, no shit. I want fucking Happy Tim back.
Yeah.
And not in a negative way. I know what he meant. They wanted the happy-go-lucky, carefree guy. But it's like, yeah, that guy didn't have his wife leave him. Didn't have his fucking staff quit. Didn't have an ex-girlfriend, steal half his shit and send him engagement photos on Valentine's Day. Didn't have a lawsuit that resulted as, from me speaking my mind. Didn't have the incompetence of the U.S. legal system just totally fuck him over. Where everyone goes, oh, man, you totally got fucked over. Sucks to be you. Now keep going, And I never have had to deal with adversity like this, and I suck at it. I wish I could say I was like this ultra tough guy, and one of my biggest fears. Story time with Uncle Tim here. My dad, when I was middle school, we'll say it was middle school, he lost his job, and all I remember about that was him sitting on the couch and waiting for something to change. And eventually the money ran out. He had to ship me off to go live with my mom, which turned out to be a blessing in disguise. And then he, at age 50, had to go move back in with his parents. And all I can think about is how I'm repeating that pattern. And with social media, it doesn't help because it appears that everyone has their shit together. And it appears that only positive things are happening and that everything they touch is turning to gold. And they're amazing. And if you're not scoring wins at their caliber and their level, you're a failure. I mean, I think about everybody that I started with that I know of in my little group in internet marketing. They're all millionaires. Some of them multi-millionaires. Jason Fladlin's one of the premier affiliate marketers of our time, but maybe of the entire genre. I mean, I bought that dude's course when it was $17. I was,
Yeah, I would say he's done pretty well for himself.
Yeah, he's done okay. Yeah, multiple, yeah.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a few, you know? And, I mean, I just was at a complete point of emptiness and just like, man, I don't know what the fuck to do here. Because, again, I'm doing therapy, I'm doing medication. It doesn't feel like depression, but I just can't give a fuck about my business and making money, which is a problem considering that's how bills are paid. And if I want to keep paying those semi-regularly and on time, you know, I kind of need an income source to do it. So that was my impression of it. I'm curious what your impression of it was.
Well, you brought up a good point, first of all, when you said you're on the other side of this. Okay, so the lawsuit is behind you.
Somewhat. I still have the bankruptcy.
Right.
And I still have the fear that I could wake up tomorrow and my bank account be seized, or they come knock on my door at at my house, and we want to look at your property. I mean, I just have all these fears.
So stemming from the same lawsuit.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh,
because even though they sold both my properties and took all of my business money, with all the interest and everything like that, I mean, the juice is still running.
Well, there's probably better reason to think about the bankruptcy, but I know.
Yeah, it's fucking head in the sand. Anyway, sorry.
Well, no, I was just, when you said, okay, so the lawsuit and then, the X's in Texas, which could be a great title of some sad country song. I don't know.
Exes.
Maybe it already is.
There it is, yeah.
Of course. So you kind of like over the house. I mean, I do think it's a good idea to get some insight, because let's face it, you have a lot of friends in the marketing, realm, and, internet marketing, as we know, has changed. It's not the same as it was probably when
I want
even
to talk
like
to people about writing short reports, and they're dudes, selling fucking NFTs for $14 billion.
Yeah.
You're just like, what the fuck?
Right. So let me ask you this: do you feel, is there a part of you're like, are you sick of the whole internet marketing?
Well, I haven't been around it. Here's when I think about internet marketing, I think about this. I was successful at first, and then I've always struggled mentally with the whole. I think I'm a good salesperson, but I don't want to sell you bullshit and hype. I get you. I think for a long time, I policed the internet marketing community, or felt like I needed to, and I was brash and bravado because I felt like an imposter with my stuff. I don't want to be found out as being an imposter. And also, if I could bring you down a peg or keep you in line, then you don't get too far away from me. We're all in this pool, kind of treading water together.
Right.
Well, then you get Jason Fladman that leaves the group, and I'm like, whoa, where are you going? Whoa. And
yeah.
A lot of hurt feelings and a lot of stuff. But I mean, without the notes, or I would say, in spite of the notes, or, the notes withstanding, that's the right word, it hasn't been like I've been pitching a bunch of stuff. The problem with the internet marketing community is, like, I would love, and that's what this podcast is about, this is what building a community is, I would love to sit down and go, hey, motherfuckers, this is work, okay? I'm not saying it's got to be bad. I mean, we're in London right now in the middle of the afternoon wearing robes, recording a podcast. There are a lot worse ways to spend the week than what we're going to be doing,
True.
But this shit takes some time, and it takes some sacrifice. And, people don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to, and not more than that, they don't want to do it. It's not sexy, It's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
That's true.
Got this penny stock AMC and blew it up. It's not like I have this NFT that sold for $40 billion of a wingnut. It's like, hey guys, there's work involved in that, and I think there's a community out there that I'm trying to build, and that those people will find me, but I don't think that community. I don't know how big that community is. And again, it's one of those things that it's tough when you put shit out there and you don't hear replies. Like, we'll sell thousands of copies of notes in a year, and you'll be like, what'd people say? It's like, we didn't get a single fucking reply.
I know.
To an email, and I mean...
Tell us, what do you think of the notes? Yeah, I always want to know what people think of the notes.
Yeah, and that's why I tell you guys to leave comments, because it's like, man, I don't mind fucking broadcasting out to the void, but I need to see a light every once in a while that goes, hey, we're fucking picking up what you're putting down, And so, yeah, I mean, I have a great... One thing that occurred to me is after I posted that, I thought, you know what? You have a network that you could have asked these questions to and got the same answers without having to go public about it. I had, I had people, I'm not going to out them, that literally were like, Tim, I will fly to you and help you out at no cost because I just want to see you succeed. And I've had offers like that, and they're amazing. I just feel awkward as fuck asking them about it. And... my therapist a while back asked me, I don't know if she asked me a question or she maybe put it in a way, but basically she was like, I don't think you take other people's opinions higher than your own. And she was referencing, I think, to a friend that had made a suggestion, and I kind of like dismissed it. And it turned out to be a great suggestion. And I think that comes from my past and my childhood and my inner child, right? All the shit they teach you in fucking therapy that turns out to be true, a lot of it. You know, I just was always kind of taught to be self-sufficient and self-reliant, good or bad. And I think that has some pluses, but it definitely has some minuses because you feel like you have to go at things alone. And also you feel like no one's opinion matters as much as your own. And maybe you discount it or you look for holes in it instead of going like, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to listen to what this person has to say. So it's a weird... I feel like I'm just in a weird fucking place. And my biggest fear is, you know, a year from now I go, I don't have anything. I've lost literally everything. And now I've got to move in with my parents. Like, you know, and I don't think it would get to that point.
Right.
You know,
right.
But it is a genuine concern of mine compared to even after the divorce. I was like, yeah, this fucking sucks, but at least I have my savings, my business, and, you know, my retirement and these properties. And, you know, it's like, okay, well, no, now you've got none of it. Like I thought about the other day, what if I sold this house? And it's weird because I was like, no, man, I don't want to do that. And it's all ego and status. It doesn't make me want to do that. It's like, I fought so hard for this. I want to keep it. And it's like, oh, okay, all right. So I just feel like I'm just in a very, I feel like I'm in a very weird place, but I don't think I don't think I'm as alone as I think I am. In fact, I know I'm not because I had 2 or 3 people reach out to me going, hey man, I feel the exact same way. So when
I bet.
When you figure this out, like, let me know, you know, because I need the same exact help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, you'd be surprised some of the people that have emailed me that. You're like, you? Like, you know.
No, I believe, I know what you're saying. And I know what you're saying about, you know, because us stodgy New Englanders, you know, we grew up like, we don't take help from anybody. You know, I got to do it myself kind of a thing. But you just, like, you got to accept help, I've come to realize over the years. Or just first, because I think the biggest thing is that when people want to help you, like that person you said that reached out to you, like it makes them feel good, you know, not like you're trying to make them feel good, but it's just like when people, you know, when I went through that scenario with the gas thing and people reached out to me, probably some of the same people you and I both know. And you just gotta, you know, I had a hard time taking help from people, but you know, the more I thought about it, first of all, it made them feel good to help, you know, and I knew that they could, and so I did. But I think...
Well, the other thing is, and this just popped into my head, is like, I've only grown up with people that gave things with strings attached to them.
Oh.
And I learned that behavior. And it's something that I am trying desperately to break.
Right, that's huge.
But it's like... I don't mind sharing this. Like, I love my parents. They have an extra house in Alabama.
Right.
I thought about calling them and saying, no matter what you do, don't sell that house, just so I have something to fall back on. But I never do because I know that means dinner every Sunday.
Right.
Never missing a phone call, dating the girl they think of, you know, like
strings attached.
It's not just coming with here's the keys, love you.
Yeah.
And that's scary. So for me, a lot of it, I think, is just a protection mechanism of like, well, what is the string that's attached or what's, you know, whatever it may be. I think that's worrisome. And I also, you know, I mentioned earlier, it's like, I feel like with some of these, like Colin, like I love Colin to death. I didn't ask him for any advice on this, because I feel like I've asked him already, you know, and I don't want to go back to the same person and be like, hey, me again, I'm an asshole, you know, like, don't ask again, you know, type thing. Right. So, yeah, it's just...
I think it's good the way you put it out there, though, because you never know. There could be that one person who comes up with something good to say that you had no idea, but they were listening. or somebody knows somebody or whatever, you know.
The weirdest thing is, and like you say, you don't know who's watching.
That's the thing. You don't know who's watching.
The number
you know?
of times I've sent an email out to my list and someone will post it online and be like, holy shit. And then you see the replies and they're like, oh, yeah, well, I read that. And you're just like, yeah, wait, well, you're reading my shit? No,
Right.
I had no idea, you know?
Yeah.
I remember one time I got a reply from Frank Kern and I was like, what? Are you, what? Huh? Like, what? Oh, my God. You know, like he was like, this is a great product. I was like, well, I can retire right now.
Maybe you should ask Frank what he thinks you should do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's old Frank. That's California Frank when I had his email. Florida Frank, I think, has temporarily lost his mind. I don't think things are going good for that Frank. That Frank's got a ton of tattoos, multiple ex-wives with very large monthly alimony payments, and a supermodel current wife with young kids. I think he's floating, but I think that monthly nut to stay afloat's a lot of money. Yeah, I'd be happy with one of those monthlies nuts for the entire year. I think. Yeah, and you know that guy's brilliant, etc. You know all the caveats, but yeah, I don't think I'd want to change my life for his. And that's something I try to think about. There are people right now that are dying. There are people right now that would kill for my situation.
Right.
Even with all of the struggles, but for me, it's just I didn't have a good role model for when things went south of resilience. You know, it's kind of like just hunker down and do that.
Yeah.
And I've never had to deal with adversity at this level and continuously, you know. And
I mean, you've been through a lot. I mean, let's face it.
and it's just one of those things of like at some point, like, you ever have a shitty day where it just seems like everything's going wrong, and then you go, all right, what the fuck did I do?
Yep.
You know, and I've done that, and I jokingly say, like, all right, did I kick a homeless person? Did I not donate? You know, and I'll even try to, like, actively do things to change the momentum. Maybe, you know, I see a homeless person, give them
Right.
extra, you know, something to be like, all right, let me see if I can
Get out of the funk.
This is a karma
Yep.
thing. Let me see if I can build up some on my side, and it just doesn't seem like that. You know, it just didn't seem to help. And, you know, the ex-wife killed me more than I can ever put into words, you know. But then to have a girlfriend, you know, we broke up, and it obviously was an amicable breakup, and I'm not happy with my behavior right before it. You know, don't get belligerently drunk and blackout drunk on a trip that she plans for you. But for her to be like, anytime we had any adversity, she would text her mom, go over there and get everything that I put in his house out. You know, she had redecorated, like, my common areas and stuff like that. And it was like, take all those things, you know. And I remember one time, funny enough, a podcast that I had recorded with a friend of mine. We recorded 2 podcasts the same month, the same week. She listened to, or they put out the wrong episode. So they put out the first one instead of the second one. First one was newly divorced, bitter, angry Tim Castleman, fuck women, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Second one was totally different. And she told me that she listened to the first one, and she was like, I was fucking having sweats. I was making notes. We were going to have a conversation. And then I realized the wrong date, and it was the wrong date, and then I listened to the second one. And she was like, you were a totally different person in that second one, and I am so proud of you.
Really?
That same person to tell me that I'm a piece of shit, that she was too good for me, that this is the same person that came and took lawn furniture of mine.
Oh, the lawn furniture,
You know,
right. I remember that.
I had windows mysteriously getting busted out of vehicles. You know, I got engagement photos sent to me on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's...
You know, of someone that and we didn't even talk about the part where my ex-girlfriend and my ex-wife became Venmo buddies.
I know, that's so weird. I remember that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, you want to talk about some kicks to the nuts, metaphorically, and some kicks to some self-worth. You know, that shit starts happening, and you go, well, wait a minute. Maybe it is. Maybe I am a fucking piece of shit. And then you start going, well, okay, whatever I had was luck, and it could never happen again. And the craziest thing is, Sue, I'm the only person that thinks this. Every person I know, my therapist, my friends, my family, all of them are like, you got this. And not like a superficial. Like they all believe in me.
I believe in you. I know exactly what you're saying.
They believe in me 100 times more than I believe in myself. Like, I'm just like, I don't see it. You know, I see me at the bottom of this rubble pile that just keeps getting fucking piled on. And it's like, and everyone's like, oh man, you're going to break through that, no problem. And I'm like, what the fuck do you, what? Like, it's just, again, I go back to saying weird because we're sleep deprived, but it's just, you know, the physical toll it takes on your self-esteem and your self-worth and your belief in yourself, you know, and you know, we're going to cover this. I have a podcast on love coming up. I think you guys are going to absolutely love. Get to tell you about how I had my heart just fucking destroyed on April Fool's Day. I mean, talking about destroyed. You know, I can't find anyone to date. I just can't seem to get any momentum. We make all these plans in January. I go to the tech guy. I'm like, all right, tech guy, here's what we're doing. He's like, that's what you're doing. I'm fucking out. You know?
Oh,
I go to
yeah.
the copywriter, and I'm like, hey, here's what I need to do. By the way, tech guy, totally awesome, amazing, did a great job, solid person. He got a client that pays him 10 times more than I do, right? And isn't an asshole to him around launches. I get it. Totally no ill will towards that. Just a stand-up gentleman through and through. You know. Then I got a copywriter who's like, yeah, I'd love to work with you. If you want to submit, you know, this form in triplicate and work 6 months down the road. And I'm like, yeah, I don't work like that. It's just any little bit of momentum just seems like it's like, nope. And you're just like, fuck. And I'm at the point where it's like, I need small wins to build that momentum versus like trying to climb the thing. So, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go through the DMs one more time and the postings and stuff like that, you know, and I appreciate everyone caring enough about me and thinking about me and stuff. And it's like, I promise, guys, I swear to Christ, like, I want this shit to be better too, you know. And I will say that I beat myself up really good that day I wrote that, and then I kind of paused and I said, okay, well, is what you're saying accurate? You're like, well, I just don't know, you know. And then I think back to flying out to see Colin one-on-one, us doing the thing in Vegas so we could get some work done, you know, me trying therapy, me trying, you know, all of these things to achieve a different result. And by doing something like that and really writing them out, even if they're just bullet points, it made me realize, like, well, you're not sitting still. You're actively trying to.
Yeah, that's true.
You just haven't found the thing that clicks yet.
Right.
And I am not I'm not a process guy. I want to get to the end result. Like, I want this life to be over, just to be done with it, right? I don't want to, well, it's part of the journey and you grow. It's like, no, I don't want to grow, you know, like, so you tell me I can have my heart destroyed like this again? Like, oh, I'm good, you know? So I'm not a process guy. I'm not a let's wait, let's take time. But I had to think about that and be realistic. It's like the project that we're working on, you know, is going to take some time, and we're actively working on it, and we're making progress every month. And really what made me think of it was this. I told myself the first part of the year, the first 3 months, I was going to try a bunch of shit. And I did. And I found some shit I liked, and I found some shit that I didn't like. I'm kind of iffy on product photography. And I was like, well, cool. I'm going to just go ahead and move on to portrait photography as if I had done anything with product. And it was like, no, man, you haven't done shit. And I was like, yeah, but 3 months are up. I got to move on. And it's like, no. You got to stay here and you got to grow. And I think for me, it served as a good reminder of, like, Rome wasn't built, you know, in a day, and that this isn't TV. This isn't Facebook. This isn't fake or book. You know, this isn't any of this shit. You know, real change takes fucking time. Real project, real anything that you know. I've taken over 200,000 photos over 5 years to get me to be the photographer that I am now for concerts. But that's just for concerts. Now, I'm not saying I want to take another 200,000 in 5 years to be good at product photography, but I can't expect to walk in and be fucking Jimi Hendrix day two. You know. And I think we forget that. I forget that. But I think we forget that as adults of like, it's okay. Like, there's a great podcast with Tim Ferriss and Jerry Seinfeld. And one of the things I took away from there is Jerry writes jokes every day, but he doesn't share them to the following day. So if he writes a joke on Monday, he doesn't share it with anybody in his circle until Tuesday. Because he gets credit for the effort. He made the effort to do the joke. Doesn't matter what happens after that. He gets credit for the effort on the day. And I thought about that a lot of like, if I fail, if I don't like how these photos come out, if I learn 100 ways not to do it, you still fucking tried. I still spent the time, the energy, and effort to work on it, to try and improve and get better. So now I'm looking at like the product photography thing as like a challenge. Not a challenge, but like fuck you. You know, if you're going to be difficult, then I'm going to be difficult too. So I have a bunch of shit coming to the house to go with a bunch of shit I ordered recently. It's like, basically I'm turning my front, my dining room into a whole storage for all of these lights and all of this complicated bullshit and all of this stuff. But instead of moving on to something new, it's like, no, you need to spend some more time. If I do it for another 3 or 6 months, I decide, I don't fucking want to do this at all, then I'll get off of it. But I think I just was caught up in the moment of feeling of lack, of feeling like I wasn't doing enough, like I wasn't doing anything, like I wasn't having any success. And you know, I talk about photography a lot because I really feel like that gave me something to focus on and something that was positive outside of work that had no relationship to my relationships or anything. It was just like something I could be good at and enjoy without the fear of having to make money from it and without, you know, any serious repercussions. And I think I allowed that to be a distraction for a long, long fucking time in my life, in place of getting the work done. Just assuming that, you know, again, much like I did with dating, I'll flip a switch and it'll come right back. And it's like, yeah, like you say, the market's changed. You know, I don't want to be out there hawking NFTs. You know?
No, you don't.
So it's just, you know, and much like you say, people believe in me, you know, I've told this a million times, I still believe it. Like, at my core, I think I'm a piece of shit human being that doesn't deserve anything that he's gotten. And in fact, the only thing I do deserve is the hurt, the pain, and the punishment of the last 5 years. And
so when you say at your core, did you believe that during the time you were successful as well?
No. I thought my shit didn't stink. I thought I was perfect. I thought I was God's gift
I get
to
you.
women and money and all of these things.
Right.
So I refer to it as a pendulum. Like my pendulum was all the way over here. That's in my mind. It probably wasn't. It was probably fourth. You know. But I'm so afraid of it. I don't let it swing back. We go to San Francisco. Me and my ex-girlfriend. She finds out when my favorite artist, Donovan Woods, is playing. She plans this amazing trip. We meet some friends that we met at a previous location. Night one, we get blackout drunk. I get blackout drunk? Yeah. We wake up the next day, mad at each other, angry. The problem with us is once we started drinking, we had a tumultuous relationship. Well, the next night, we go to the concert, have a couple pops. I'm fucking living my life. I'm shooting the Donovan Woods concert like I would any other concert. Well, this pisses her off because she wanted to hang out with her boyfriend and all that stuff. So we split up there, and I go to a bar, and I proceed to get blackout fucking drunk. I don't remember getting home from the bar. I lost my phone. I lost everything.
You lost your phone?
Yeah, twice I've done that too. Yeah, drinking. Maybe I should give it up, right? I did for a long time after this. And apparently I came back drunk, belligerent. You know, I didn't hit her or anything like that. But, you know, I scared her enough that, I mean, she was scared. And somewhere in my life, I learned when you make a fuck up like that, it's done. There's no coming back. There's no redemption. And I ended that relationship because of the guilt of that evening.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I was just like, I'm a horrible person. I don't deserve you. I can't control my alcohol. I can't control my temper. I don't want you to be around this because I'm not worthy of your love. I just felt incredibly unworthy. I didn't love myself. How could I love somebody else?
Right.
You know, and with my ex-wife, it was like, well, I've heard nothing but how I've been a horrible guy for the last 3 months and all of these terrible things, you know, on top of the fact that my parents are going to have to deal with the fact that you left. They knew it day one before I even told them that you had left, you know, and I didn't want to put her through. Like my mom ain't like me in terms of like learning from her mistakes. And she has all of these things that I'm talking about that I'm unlearning. This is the woman that gave them to me. And they're firmly entrenched and they ain't going anywhere. There's no therapy. There's no, you know, talking about this shit. She's like, oh, what the fuck's wrong with you? You know, like,
Right.
I don't have any friends, but my life's great. So I ended that because I was like, one, I couldn't trust her that she wouldn't leave me again. Two, I was like, all you've told me is how terrible of a husband I am and all this stuff. And then three, the family thing. I just didn't see a road to redemption in either of those two relationships. Not that there wasn't, but because I had said that there wasn't because of what I perceived to be these huge, you know, same thing right now. It's like I look at someone that is interested in me and I go, why the fuck would you be interested in me? I'm divorced, right? I'm destitute. I got no business. I got nothing going for me. I'm a guy who stays at home all day, smokes weed, watches 60 hours of YouTube a week, and gets winded when he has to chase after the, you know, it's like there's no redeeming qualities about
Got this great podcast and some cute dogs.
But I mean, I just look at that. I mean, that's how I feel. And everyone will know this. And
Right.
It's like I push all that shit away. I can't allow those things to be true. And I don't know why. I'm curious. I wonder why that is, that I feel like I can't let those things be true or feel like they are. But it just fucks with me. And no matter the therapy, the dosage of medication, this is just something that I just struggle with and that I constantly struggle with and just have not found anything that overcomes it. And again, the conversation you and I are having, I don't hear anybody having that conversation at any level.
That's true.
I've never heard a guru, if you will, talk the way I'm talking. And that's not to blow anyone. I'm just saying, like,
Right.
when have you ever heard Frank Kern come out and go? Yeah. I mean, seriously, if he was like, hey, man, I'm going to, I mean, I remember Gary Halbert wrote a letter when he was broke. And he was like, hey, I make the most money when I'm broke. I'm broke as shit. Who wants to make some money? But he was honest with his situation. Yeah, and I know logically this happens a lot more than I see in public. But because you don't see the public declarations like I make, because people have filters and family and all those things to run this shit through.
Yeah, people don't do it, even though we know it's out there.
It just feels like I'm one of one and not in a good way like DJ Khaled.
I feel like you're telling yourself, this story that you're not good enough or you're not worthy.
Ooh,
You know what I mean? So how can you get yourself to tell yourself, reverse that, instead of relying on your therapist or your friends or whatever? I think it has to, in some sense, start with you to rewrite your own story or your thoughts about yourself.
Good point there. So I've been thinking about this too.
Okay, good.
Not that point, but this point, which is my identity has become my struggle. Meaning that the only thing I feel, it's like I like sad fucking songs. I want songs that are about the depths of despair. Like, this motherfucker better make me cry. If not, I'm going to listen to it until it does type thing. Because I feel something. And the only time I feel something currently is when I feel like I'm describing highly emotional events. And I tell my therapist all the time, I don't want to be that guy that 20 years from now is talking about my ex-wife as if she left me yesterday.
I get you. No, you don't want to be that guy.
No,
right.
And I don't think I will be that guy.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, we all know people that are like that.
Yep.
You're like, oh, shit. Like, when did you all break up? Last week? And they're like, 20 years ago. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck. Like, get the fuck over it. Like, I remember the first time I went to therapy, and not the first time, but the reason I went to therapy was a business relationship fell apart. And then all my friends went to go work with my former business partner, and I remember being distraught about it for a long ass time. I didn't realize it. It's been a couple of years, and then one day I say it, and then a friend of a friend that I won't mention, but she knows who she is. She was like, "Hey Tim, it's been 3 years. Get the fuck over it." And I remember that moment thinking, like, if you were a dude, I'd punch you square in the fucking face right now. But she had a point, you know.
Right.
And I want people to know, like, I understand that. I'm not trying to be this guy forever. It's
Right.
like I'm just trying to figure it out, and I'm sorry it's taking this long. I wish I was fucking happy Tim. I'd love to be happy, carefree, go lucky Tim. You know, nothing more would make me happy than that. But it's, you know, again, when you feel like everything is coming down around you, it's hard to maintain that positive outlook. Rachel Rofe, I love her to death. Sweetheart.
I know.
You know.
Very happy.
Very happy. No matter what. I feel like she would be like, "Hi, guys. This is Rachel. So someone broke into my house today, and they took all my stuff, but they probably needed it more than I did. And then they killed my puppy in front of me. But, you know, that's fine because maybe they had issues they were working for, and I just really wanted to hug them and tell them it'd be like whatever happens to her, she's gonna be happy and okay with it." And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, tell me you have a bad day. You know, tell me you've had a bad day sometime, you know.
Right.
You know, I mean, I've got, you know, I got a friend, and sorry I'm being vague with names because these are civilians, some of them talking about. They didn't ask for the smoke. But, you know, we have a mutual chef friend that got divorced. You know, his ex is already getting ready to get remarried this year. They're engaged and they're going to be remarried this year. And they've been divorced maybe less than 2 years. And I'm just like... Oh, how did you fix that? I've got another friend, lost her husband to cancer, and she was a fucking saint. Took him to every appointment, took him to all of these things. Mm-hmm. He's been passed away 6 months, maybe a year. She's already in another relationship. And I'm just like, how did you do that? Like, how did you fix it so much? And you know, I think about that. I think, well, okay, they must have fixed it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they just, you know, went back over, you know, or you know, had a hole in the wall and they just covered it with a post.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we're not going to do the deep lifting. And yeah, again, these are all the things. Now, to your question.
Like, how do you do some self-talk with yourself to tell yourself?
But see, I diminish everything. I diminish everything that I accomplish. I keep things light. That way I can always have an out of like, oh, man, I wasn't taking it serious. It's not like I put my best foot forward and 100% of the effort. I mean, again, this is how I look at myself of all this failure and all this stuff. But I'm the only one, I feel like, except for my ex-wife, who I'm sure very much feels like this about me, that feels like that about me. I think if I could observe this in like out of body experience, or you know, like they do the Anthony Bourdain movie about me. I think a lot of people would be like, funny dude, personable, fun, really personable online, amazing photography. They would have nothing but nice things to say about me, and all of the negative things that I think are the shining lights or beacons of me, they don't even see them.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. And I agree. I think people certainly would say nothing but good things. And I guess I'm just trying to... So if you go back in time to that time when you did the Kindle thing and your accountant called you and said you're making too much money, you know, what were you... Like, it's almost like you couldn't do like an out-of-body experience and like... What were your thoughts about yourself back then? Like, everything I touch turns to gold.
Yeah, but it was...
You know?
It was a narcissistic way. Okay, so here's what I didn't like about that. I was very quick and easy to dismiss. And I still struggle with this all the time. it was very much like one and done. If you pissed me off or I had a bad experience with you, it was like, we're not going to do that. With my ex, it was my way or the highway because I was still,
But you were still putting the work in.
I was putting the work in, but I wasn't putting work in. It's like who I was as a person wasn't, I just wasn't. I wasn't a bad person, but I just feel like I wasn't a good. I was just. I was very narcissistic, self-absorbed. It's my way or the highway,
Right.
But again, everything worked back then. It was like.
Yeah.
So, it's just. I see that stuff, but I'm so afraid of the ego coming back out, and going back to that person, that. I think I intentionally keep the restrictor plate on.
Oh, maybe that has something to do with it then.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all of these things kind of add up to it.
Yeah,
but
there's some good deep thoughts there.
It's just, I don't have an answer. And again, this isn't unfortunately the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or sitcom TV where we're going to be able to figure it out in fucking 30 minutes or less. Although I think we've gone over that. It's just, I'm just at a very. I'm not a crossroads in my life because I don't feel like it's anything like that. I'm just in a weird spot where I'm just like, okay, when is this engine going to re-engage? What is it going to take? And it's not like I have like this other dream of like, oh man, I'd love to be a riverboat captain or.
Yeah.
It's like a friend of mine the other day we were texting and then they just disappeared. And I text them next day. I'm like, hey, you fucking fell asleep on me. And they're like, yeah, because I have to get up and go to work at a job that reports me if I don't report on time. And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. I don't want to do that shit ever again. Like,
Right.
A friend of mine hit me up on the flight over. Hey, man, I think I got you a photography job with a local magazine if you want. And I was like, first of all, I can't pass a drug test. And second of all, like, I'm not coming in. At 8 o'clock, I'm done with those days. Now, there's nothing wrong with those if I had to do it, but to me, that's a last resort. Nothing wrong. I did it for 12 years before I did what I'm doing now. My dad has done it his whole life. I have nothing wrong with that. It's just that's not where I thrive. It's not where the best use of my time. It's just fuck that. I just don't want to do it.
I totally relate to you. I know. Nothing before noon.
I can't have that policy with a job. Like,
right.
I'm going to roll in about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, leave about 3 with about a 2-hour lunch in between. Is that good?
Yeah.
Like, no, it doesn't work for us because we need you here at 9:15 a.m. for the flag ceremony. Be like, okay, yeah, you can get another fucking photographer for that. So, I don't know if it's the whole not taking myself serious, although I struggle with that too because it's like, I was super serious. I was on ADHD medication. I was just cranking shit done. But I was a miserable asshole. It's like, who gets shit done that isn't an asshole or portrayed as an asshole? Who's a high achiever that isn't an asshole one way or the other? Most of those guys have to be. I feel like very direct, very matter of fact, very go, 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 go. Very, all the things that are not what I want to do.
Then the question is, what do you want to do?
Well, yeah. That is the question.
What do you see yourself doing now?
I'm 42. I'm going to be 43 this year. Fuck, I think I'm not going to get it figured out before I die. That's what I think I'm going to be asking this question at 60. And if I am, I don't know how to have peace of mind each time it goes through this cycle. It's just, it's just a weird time for me. And I'm hoping that something will change. Now, how that's going to change, what that entails, that's all fucking mystery to me. I have no idea.
Well, and I think this upcoming week will be good because you get to spend some time with your peers, like you said. And let's face it, these guys, no woman, these guys, they're all very, very smart. And I'm hoping, I can't wait to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, no,
I'm sure,
these events always inspire me. And that's
yes.
why we're here is inspiration, motivation, all that good stuff. It's just,
right.
I know I'm not the only one going through this, but it just certainly feels like I am. And it's tough to ask high achievers how to be a high achiever. If that make it's like, it's just a weird thing. It's like I can't call Russell and ask him this. I couldn't email Ryan Dice.
No, I know, but and you said yourself you don't want to be at that level. You don't want to have a shitload of employees.
Yeah.
And what about somebody like Justin?
Yeah, no.
I mean, he's got the sass, and he's living his life the way he wants to. And
I mean, something like that would be phenomenal. I just have to come up with a sass.
Yeah, I know.
I just have a few steps.
On that note.
I just need to come up with steps A through Z.
Yes.
And then I could totally do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the future holds, and I don't know how to be okay with that and just not worried about it, not overthink it, not stress about it, and not let it consume. Not let it consume me or keep me worried. It's just I'm petering because we're exhausted, but it's just a weird time, which I know I've said 100 times now. I apologize. Where I'm hoping to get some motivation from hanging out here, maybe get some words of inspiration, and maybe a little bit of direction. But at the end of the day, like, no one's coming to save you, and that fucking sucks. I'll just be real. It fucking sucks. You hire project managers, you hire people that you think, okay, they're going to do the work and they're going to help and they're going to contribute, and they don't. And it's just like, fuck, this all falls on my shoulders and it all falls on me. And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, you're looking at me for the answer and I don't fucking have it, or I don't think I have it. And, it's not randomly popping up. It's like, again, am I going to have to be like logging on at a homeless shelter? And then am I going to just be, hey, whatever happened to that Tim guy? Man, he was crushing it. And then, it's just like.
I like that mushroom idea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was seriously.
Oh,
because I've heard that as well.
Yeah, no, someone suggested that I go do a heroic dose of like magic mushrooms. You can do those psilocybin retreats. I've looked into them. I've contacted them. I've even scheduled them. But the problem is, because of my head meds, they're worried that I won't get the full effect out of it.
I see.
So they're like, well, just stop your head medication. And I'm like, well, here's the problem. When I was on tour recently, one day I forgot to take my medication when I went to bed. And then I also forgot to take it when I woke up the next day. So by dinner time that night, I was violently puking and had a massive headache.
Oh.
Yeah, not to mention,
Okay.
Day 2 or 3 of those, your mood gets real low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true. You don't want to mess with that.
So it's like, hey, guys, I mean, if you guys want to watch me for a week, no sharp objects, and then have me do it, that's fine. But I'm not opposed to any of that. I mean, whatever. I mean, I've tried transcendental meditation. I paid $1,000 for a 2-day course. I left after day 1 because I couldn't stop thinking about my ex-wife and how she did me wrong, and it made me so fucking angry. I drove home at 4:00 in the morning after not sleeping all night.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's not very meditative.
No. But it's just like, those things that I try. Yeah, it's just like, okay, that didn't work. That didn't work.
Right.
And it's frustrating because I haven't experienced that. I didn't do a lot before, but I mean, it's like my first product was a hit. It just seemed like I was like, hi, I'm Tim Castleman. And then things fucking exploded. And it's a little inside baseball. As part of a mastermind group, one member there was referring to the king of Facebook ads at the time.
Yep.
And was talking about how he was doing amazing, and he wondered what would happen to him after he got slapped down by life. And a couple months later, he got slapped down by life. And he was off the grid for a while and had to take some medication and vice versa and all that. Fast forward that 5 years, 5 years later, he's selling his company in a totally different field for several $1 million.
Yeah, a lot of money.
So he crashed, burned, recycled. I feel like I've crashed. I feel like I'm on fire. Don't feel so confident about the recycling part. And that's again, I mean, going back to what we talked about before, that's the hard part. It's like everyone I know, and some of them are probably just being polite, and that's fine, but everyone I know is like, man, you'll figure it out. You got it. And I'm just like, I don't see what you see. Even when I look at past accomplishments, because, I mean, it's tough not to go like, all right, so you've had to rebuild before. Yeah, you've done it, you get into something, you learn about it, you have a high level of competency from it, and even knowing I have those skills and ability, it's like, it's just a world of buts. And also, I think the other part of it is, when you get into something new and fresh, you do so with blinders on. And you don't see the real world effect and the real cause and effect of different things, But when life slaps you and the world slaps you down, it's like, well, fuck, am I going to get another bad service provider and tell people about it and then lose everything, It's
right.
Like, am I going to get sued again? Am I going to have, am I about to be like on the Tonight Show and then my ex-wife pops up, Does my
surprise.
Pop up with it? I mean, those are things I worry about. Like,
right.
I become a New York Times bestseller and then Inside Edition knocks on my ex-wife's house and go, I want to talk to you about your ex. And then, she gets to tell her, whatever it may be, I don't know. Nor do I care. It's like I did the best I could with the tools that I had.
Right.
I could be I said this last week in therapy. I could do everything that my ex-wife wanted of me now, or then I could do now, but I would be so miserable because that's not the person that I am, nor the life that I want to lead. I got again, sorry for all the hush-hush talk, but I have a friend right now. He is engaged to a beautiful woman who is having his child, who has, I think, another child outside of that relationship. And, this guy was the life of the party and the hangout guy and all that. Now he's I'm home by midnight, I'm not drinking guy, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. He's fucking miserable. He's miserable.
Aw.
Because that's not who he is. And instead of accepting him for who he is, it's like, this is who I need you to be. And he thinks, oh, I'm going to be a daddy now. I got to change this and shit. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not like he's doing it and like, oh, I'm so fucking happy, So these are the things that.
We'll need a follow-up for this on another podcast.
We'll give it like 9 months and see how it goes. These are the things that just kind of pop through my head. And again, I don't have anyone else I'm hanging out with, so I spend a lot of time in there, trying to figure out how the fucking thing ticks. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I get it. And then other times I'm like, this is a black fucking hole over here.
I wish I had a magic pill, Tim. Take this pill and
I wish I did too.
Everything's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I love telling my therapist, hey, you got 23 minutes to fix this shit.
Yes.
So, step 1, 2, 3. So I appreciate it, guys. I know I've done 2 or 3 of these mental health podcasts I don't mind sharing my struggles. I appreciate you guys listening. If you got questions, comments, anything like that, leave them in the comment section. Let me know someone's light is out there. Even if it doesn't apply to you, it just helps me know that someone's listening. I promise we'll take a break a little bit on the mental health side. On a future podcast, I still have to tell you about the April Fool's experience that I had and so much more outside of this. But, I wanted to share with you kind of, I don't want to say coming full circle, but from the depths of despair where I was like, oh, man, I got to get my head meds fixed or I'm going to check out to, just trying to figure this shit out and either accept that, hey, this is the reality of how life is, and instead of being upset about it, you just accept it, or being like everyone else on Facebook that seems to have it all figured out and know exactly what they need to do step by step each and every time. Who knows? Hopefully, you'll hear about it on a future podcast. Until next time, I'll see you soon.